Look at that, we're recording. I just had to give it a file name apparently. Okay, so
Perfect. Oh yeah, I see the little red dot now. All right, welcome back for another wonderful episode of MCVC. We are tuning in now for you're tuning in, watching this video, probably a week later, probably two people. We are doing another continuation of our genre episode. So, woo! Because we are not original with content, so we got to just mooch off our old content.
yeah, pretty much.
No, we just left that episode kind of a little underdeveloped, untouched a bit. So we kind of just want to do a little continuation, get the flow going with that. So without further ado, Collin, if you want to jump it, or what am I trying to say here?
Jump it.
Words are just not working.
Are we robbing
if you want
somebody?
to jump this video, yeah, bro. If you want to jump someone in the audience that we don't have, your wife, I guess, the cat.
Yeah.
Jump the cat. That asshole has it coming.
I need a new winter hat, so I'll just skin them quick.
There we go. Make a little one of those fucking old what are they called? The muskrat hats. The
like Davy Crockett, motherfucker.
Yeah, the little Davy Crockett cap. Yeah, out of your cat.
I think if it's out of a raccoon usually.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. They're all the same to me. Animal's an animal. I eat them. They are meat with legs. Yeah, eat noms. All right. So the first genre I kind of want to jump into, because I don't know why, but we've talked about this before. I always thought I was going to take over and be the major feature of gaming, and I'm sure you felt some very similar sentiments. Was simulations, VR, that category overall, because that's the thing. You always feel like video games are constantly advancing towards how realistic can this experience be. Not every single game, not every game has to do that, because they just stand up on their own for their storylines, their content that they release, or just be whatever it is, some unique content they have. But there are other games that try to bring this sense of realism to the world, and I feel like VR is one of those closest concepts we've gotten to integrating towards real life blending into video games. And so I find it really fascinating. I've only touched VR a couple times. I played Super Hot on it, and I played this one VR game where I can't remember the exact name of it. You're like a kayak or something. You're like some badass operator, dude. I don't know why, for whatever reason, they sent you alone down a river with a kayak, and you just have like a sniper rifle and a submachine gun and a pistol. And it's really cool, and it's one of those stealth games, and it'll tie into when we start talking about stealth. Okay, you can. I just want to make sure I'm coming through clear.
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good.
Oh, beautiful. All right. So it kind of ties into that stealth realm too, but I'm gonna give this one to VR just because obviously I'm using the Oculus and the controllers. And it's worth looking up. I can't remember the name. Just look up VR kayak badass stealth, and I'm sure something will come up. And it was cool because I obviously, with every stealth game, my first response was, I wonder what happens if I get caught. So of course I just started shooting everything I saw, and everyone just started just destroying my ass. Just started shooting at my little poor kayak, and I ran out of bullets. One thing that was kind of interesting about it is if you picked up a magazine, because obviously you're using these controllers, and I would go to use my hands, I'd reach down and I'd pick up the magazine, you could just throw that bitch in the water. So of course my dumb ass, I was like, I wonder if it responds. I just start throwing all my ammo in the water, and all of a sudden I have no ammo. I'm like, oh.
I wonder what happens if I eat my paddle. Oh shit.
That's so funny. You would try to eat your paddle, and then you look back and it'd be right on the kayak again. I'd literally try to throw that bitch away. I'd be like, and it'd just come right back. I'd be like, oh. Come on. I want to throw all my shit away and be a horrible operator. I always find those games fun to jump into. I find there was a zombie one I played that was pretty fun because I don't know, it's just cool about getting to loot cars and shit, and then just going up to a zombie and no, back up, and then you just got a gun, and you just bah, 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 you just get that stupid with it. You get a lot more of that free range control of your character. There's hiccups with it. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it struggles to register shots and stuff like that every once in a while, and it's still something that's developing, but VR has come a long way from what it started as. But the weird thing is, you don't really hear too much about it anymore. it's like almost like they became this own like subsection of gaming that doesn't really talk to people anymore, just like mobile gamers. Like they kind of just exist on their own wavelength now, and like you don't hear about the next major VR game coming out. What do you hear about? You hear about Call of Duty, and that's kind of the whole gaming industry in itself. It swallows up these subsections where they could become something and stand on their own, which I'm sure VR is still doing well. They're still holding up. They still have games coming out. But the thing is, there's not that mass appeal yet. And I would love to see that change. I'd love to see the direction become like, we're going to cross-intersect our VR into the new systems that are coming out, like the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, and just revolutionize it. And we're like, because obviously games have to be designed different around VR. And there's a lot of work that goes into that compared to like you can't just like, all right, we're gonna give them 2 different controllers in a Oculus Rift and now it's VR. It's not how that works. It's and I feel like it'd be cool to see maybe 10 years down the road where it's at. That's probably when I'll start like really, not even 10, maybe 5. I'll probably look more into it. Right now where it stands, like it'd be something I'd need all my friends to have if I really want to pick it up and play it. Otherwise, I think it would just be something that kind of collects dust under my television, and it would just be one of those things that I only bring out when I have friends over. Like, oh yeah, I got this. Then we're all drunk, just fucking acting all stupid. But and cutting back into simulation games in itself, like you got like I don't even know, construction simulator. There's so many simulators now. Like there's probably a mailman simulator. There's a game where you get to play as a goose and a goat. And
yeah,
there's so many.
City is probably the biggest one that everybody's familiar with, just because it's been.
Oh, definitely.
It's a game that you can play on your phone. There's apps. I actually played one. It was like Sim City, I think, where you can basically have this small ass tiny town, and you basically build it up into like this metropolis eventually. I remember playing that a few years back, and then one that I actually play on Xbox right now is Jurassic World Evolution, where you just basically have this barren like park, and you just have you make cages for the dinosaurs. You have to incubate them and like find more DNA to make them stronger and better. And like you have to have observatories, bathrooms, facilities, all this stuff to make sure that your guests are happy and you have a good rating. Otherwise, when I first started playing the game, I didn't realize I had to keep up on it that much. Like I knew I'd have to do some of that, but I got to the point where my place was losing money. So like all of a sudden I went from positive to negative, and then at that point you have to start tearing down buildings because they give you value back to like try to balance it. And it got to the point that I was still going negative and there was nothing more to deconstruct, so I had to completely restart my island. So
that's called bankruptcy.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool how it's like, hey, you don't have any dinosaurs, you don't have any bathrooms, you don't have any emergency shelters. So if a dinosaur gets out, people don't have anywhere safe to go. Like basically, it was just like one pen with a few dinosaurs in it, and then like. So that was
pretty much the Tiger King of dinosaurs.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You just oh man, your employees walking around, they got like one arm and shit. Oh no, this one here, she's a real sweetheart, Bessie. She hasn't eaten an arm in I'd say about 5 days. Like, what? Oh, about 5 days. Your bandages are leaking. Yeah, it was about my arm. Like, no, dude. I first off, I think about a zoo for dinosaurs. Fucking horrible idea. I loved the original Jurassic Parks. I was the biggest fan of Jurassic World, and I got my reasoning for that. But thinking the whole concept of itself just sounds so dumb. Like I would love dinosaurs to come back. I think everyone would until they're actually back. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like everyone's like, "That's awesome!" And all of a sudden you got like massive fucking monsters roaming the earth again, and they couldn't even survive in our atmosphere. And like how the what's the word I'm looking for here? How everything is now. Like the ecosystem, they can't endure it because there was a lot more oxygen back then. Because there was the vegetation back then gave off so much more. So now dinosaurs would just suffocate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny to think of like a little kid. It's like, oh, I like dinosaurs. I want to be a dinosaur. You're like, no, you don't.
No, you don't, buddy. You know, stay away from it. Especially from the fucking dinosaur king. Stay away from his little island.
Little Timmy, we're gonna get a puppy. No, I want a dinosaur.
Is your rival's name Cheryl Caskin? she owns a dinosaur refuge. Her husband mysteriously vanished into the T-Rex pens about 10 years ago.
She has a vlog where she starts at, "Hey, all you cool velociraptors and all you cool cats and kittens,
all you cool dinos and." I don't even know, dude. No, and it's one of those things that it's so cool that you can like do stuff like that. I've played Zoo Tycoon. One of my favorite games growing up, believe it or not, was Sims. Yeah, I was one of those guys. You know, everyone else is like, "Yeah, I play sports games." Kids who play Sims are fucking nerds, or they use more derogatory terms that are no longer acceptable in 2020.
People are like, "Yeah, so, I'm the 10th best ranked guy in Madden." You're like, "Oh, I got a wife and 2 kids."
Yeah, I just locked my Sim in his own room with no door. He's panicking right now. I left him there. I left my PlayStation on intentionally at home. I might be a psychopath. Like you try to create fucking the Hell Hotel that H.H. Holmes created, his little murder hotel. You just create that on Sims. You just have like, I don't know why. I think that always happens eventually. You're like, I wonder if this will kill my Sim. And then when it does, you're like, what happened? You're like, how did that happen? You take the ladder out of the pool and they just sit there and swim around until they drown. You're like, why'd they drown? The real question is, why they just didn't get up out of the pool?
You have to quick sweep the evidence under the rug because you're like, you know, if somebody finds what you did, there's gonna be a lot of questions.
Well, the funny thing is the death. Like, I love the more recent Sims where like death just shows up. He's just chilling there. I'd love to envision him just sitting there smoking a cigarette, and he's just like, another one, really, dude? Just like looking at the sky because he knows you're there, just making you feel guilty as hell. Just like, you gonna keep doing this? I got other places to be, man. But yeah, no, I love Sims. I love the funny words, the bakadakanu fucking bullshit they say. It sounds like French gets butchered and then just like regurgitated by someone who got hit in the head too many times. I still remember one character's name from, I think it was Sims 2, and I always thought he was the biggest asshole. I don't know why. One of the episodes, his name was Turk, and he had like red hair and he wore like a leather vest, and he'd always just show up at your house and become your friend and move in. And so, like, dude, get the fuck out of my house! Like, you're not. I didn't leave. Just laying on your couch with his smelly ass feet, just like, what up? Or actually, be more like, scuba dabadoo, like some stupid shit.
Scuba dabadoo.
Take your stupid ass speaking ways out of my house right now. I don't want you here, Turk. But no, and like Sims was entertaining, especially the alien abductions, just like the weird little stuff that would happen. Because it even though it's not reality, it's still like you're creating a household. Realistically, you're just an architect who just control. You're God now. You're these people's God. And sadly, at that time, I was like a 10-year-old, so they had a 10-year-old God with too much power on his hands and way too much time to think about how I was going to fuck with my Sims. But, I would create so much drama for them. Oh, man. But no, and then there's other.
You're gonna go sleep with his wife, and like.
I've been walking in the room until you love each other. Explain that to your wife. No. But then there's other simulators, like there's the Mud Runner simulators, and this is the thing when I talk about genres, always cross-platform. There's always different kind of concepts, or cross-intersect. Like racing can be considered a simulator. Shooting games, depending on which one, like Arma can be considered a military simulator. I mean, hell, dude, when I was in, we played video games to an extent. I call them video games. They're actually for training purposes. But yeah, we did it. We used it for training purposes. And we just literally got to fuck around on like a video game. That was cool. But also, if anyone's looking to join the military, I will not say anything about it. I have nothing bad nor good to say because I'm out of that. So we don't talk about that here. Unless I bring it up. Only I'm allowed to talk about it. And Collin. Collin can talk about my experiences too. Then I tell him. And I give him the permission. But not like I did anything fun. But Anyways, going off of simulators, which I wanted to tie across to the next genre I wanted to talk about, because I just brought up the Arma series. We didn't really touch too specifically on first-person shooters, and it's because they're kind of prolific. First-person shooters are something that almost every gamer knows. If you've never played a first-person shooter, you're probably a girl who only plays Animal Crossing, or a guy. I won't sexualize that, but most girls I know play Animal Crossing. It seems like a fun game, and I don't know, but that you're not entertained by that idea of a game, and usually even you, if you're one of those people who doesn't play a first person shooter, knows what Call of Duty or Battlefield or Halo or any of these other games are. Like there's just there you would have to literally live under a rock to not know what a first person shooter is. So that's kind of why we didn't really talk too much about it, but we'll touch on it briefly, and I'd just love to get some of your thoughts on it, Colin. Like, where do you stand? I know this is one of your favorite genres, so
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely say it's in my top three, if not my favorite genre. Not necessarily because I'm all in the lore and the stories of like Call of Duty, Battlefield, all these other first person shooters, but it's just the ones I've spent the most time on. So it's hard not to say, oh yeah, that's not my favorite genre, even though that's probably where 80% of my time in gaming goes to. And I'll kind of briefly talk about it a little bit, especially with the newest first-person shooter being Black Ops Cold War. I mean, I love it so far. I've basically played it I have played it every day since it's come out. It's like been out for 5-6 days now. It's kind of funny watching a lot of people kind of tear the game apart with how buggy it is and stuff like that. And then people are like, "Oh, remember when you used to hate Modern Warfare?" And there's like a compilation clip of like all the bugs from the first week, and like all the camping, how the imbalance of the weapons, all this and that, and just how people were shitting on Modern Warfare the first week it was out. So it's like, wait, people. Literally, the first update hasn't even come out yet. Technically, the first season hasn't even started. The first season starts on December 10th, I want to say. So the head guy of Treyarch basically came out and said, "Yeah, we're going to be balancing weapons. There's going to be new content. We're basically like." Basically the way people are looking at it is right now the first like couple of weeks of this game is like a second beta almost. Just to kind of let people have a feel for the game. And honestly, I love it. The campaign was amazing. I won't spoil too much, but it gives you there's I think it's 7 or 8 different endings that you can have within the campaign.
really,
Yeah, so it's based on your character. It's not really a spoiler, but it's something new that they added into the game is you actually create a character. Like you don't play.
really.
I mean, yeah, you play you play as Mason. You play as and Woods a little bit, and then the person that you create is his name is Bell. So basically, you can literally put your name in. So it's like first and last name. Your military background. So you could be your 3 options are CIA, MI6 or XKGB, and then you literally choose your skin tone so that when like you're holding a weapon, like you can see the skin tone you have. You're male or female based on like you even have non-binary on there, which is kind of cool how they added that into the game. Yeah. And then they give you 2 basically, I guess you could call them perks to choose from for your character. So I think there's like 20 different ones, and you can choose 2 of them. So it's kind of hard to pick just 2 that you want to play as. But like one is like, well, your long range is more accurate. Reduced flinch from getting hit. More persuasive, so it's like a charisma perk. Those are just a couple I can think of off the top of my head. I can't remember. Like I said, there's like probably 15, 20 perks you can choose from. So it's kind of, even though it's like it's something new, and I guess you could say, oh, that's a spoiler. It's not really, because it doesn't play. No, it's just a cool feature that they add into the game, yeah. And there's like side missions and like.
Well, that's something someone's. I was just gonna say, if someone's researching this game, that's something that they're gonna find out.
Oh yeah, and like I heard about this before I even started it. Like I had saw rumors about it, but it's like I didn't think anything of it because it's like, oh, it's just a rumor, and then but it's actually in the game. So this was knowledge that was out there before the game even came out. So, and then the cool thing too is there's like side missions where you find evidence and you actually have to like decrypt the floppy disk and stuff to like find evidence or find information about this person and like so it's like it's a very I don't know. It's a different take, and I loved it. And the fact that I found out after that there's like 7 or 8 different endings, it's like, well, shit. I got to play through it 6 more times. You know what I mean? To try to find those different endings. So, and I won't
Dude,
say.
you just had me a weird thought. There's people out there who don't even know what a floppy disk now. This younger generation, I guarantee there's a lot of them who don't even know what a floppy disk is. The only reason I know is because obviously there's a lot of old crap growing up around me, so I got to experience that. And I mean, I'm sure there's people who don't even know what cassettes are in this younger generation.
Oh yeah.
And
even CDs,
I would assume a lot of them know what
records.
Yeah. Yeah, records. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's people who do their research, and obviously, if you're younger, this isn't a comment to insult you specifically. If you're watching this, no, I'm not talking about you, guy or girl or non-binary who knows about these things. I'm just saying there are people out there who don't know anymore, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, no angry comments.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I'm going to go into on that. Maybe a couple weeks or a couple months down the road after you've had a chance to play it, we can dive into Cold War as a whole, maybe for like a franchise Friday or something. But
100%.
Given that we were talking about the first-person shooter genre, it's new content. It's trending topic, so I just want to make sure I touched on it a little bit. But one game I actually jotted down, and I've never actually played it before, but I've seen a lot of like stuff on like TikTok and Instagram and like even memes about it, is Rainbow Six. I
played it.
How do you like it? Like, I guess what would be
I would consider Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six Siege is, in my opinion, one of the most competitive first-person shooters, in my opinion, and I will state that. Say it louder, in my opinion, because there's a lot of issues with the game in terms of like, once you know a map very well, there are people who learn, and I guess you could say that's not really it's a strategy because people have played so long. It's a lot faster paced. There's a lot smaller margin of error in terms of like, say, Call of Duty. I feel like I have more breathing room in Call of Duty compared to Rainbow Six, just because. So each operator has their own specialized skill set. There's characters like Brick and Montaigne who they have their own specific abilities, and each person on your team has to like you play a pivotal role, no matter what. Like, it's a lot more team-based. Like, yeah, you can have that one dude who stand out who's just better than everybody. You can have that guy, but as you progress into the higher skill levels where you guys all kind of sit at the same skill level, versing guys at the same skill level, you and your operator play a pivotal role in your team, be it if you were the one on the defensive side of things or the offensive side. You want to make sure you choose your operator carefully once you actually get a better understanding of it, because for example, there's certain special skill sets. There's people who can like see through walls essentially with like radar systems. There's one character who can just make like a phone or like a buzzing thing happen to you. Like, I think they hack your phones or whatever you got on you, and it starts going off and it fucks with you. And then there's characters who can lay down traps, and there's so many different various abilities. I'm not going to jump into it. I think that'd be a franchise Friday that maybe we should dive into sometime. After we both choose to jump back into that game, or you for the first time play it, and it's actually really fun. The community in it is very fast paced. Like I said, there's obviously when you first start playing, there's going to be games where it's complete blowouts on both ways, like going both ways. You could just destroy another team, or you could lose to another team bad. And it's one of those things that you just got to kind of learn your operators. And I definitely like the mechanic of being able to like. So you can like go up walls. You can use cables, and you can just go up and you can climb up walls. You can be like upside down, and like you can just shoot through windows. And you can use you have to use your tactical grenades actually very like strategically. Whereas most of the time you just see Call of Duty, it's like take the flash. Like there's when you want to use your equipment, you got to think about it a little bit more, in my opinion. There's even like a character you can set up like kind of like a clone of themselves, and it's all interesting. It's all, and it's been a while since I touched this. I don't even know where they're at now. I'm sure they're still updating that game. That game had a lot of popularity, but yeah, no, I definitely think it's like one of those staples of the first person shooter genre. One that honestly I feel like is kind of just dying. I'm sure it still has a big fan base, but like I don't hear much about it anymore from the mainstream gaming side of things. Maybe it's because I got tunnel vision or something, but Battlefield. Um, I, I think it's just because they kind of just keep reskinning their old games and they keep kind of shooting themselves in the foot. And again, my opinion, if there's anyone out there who feels differently about it, that is A-okay. I support your opinion too. But I feel like Battlefield is just not long for this world, especially with competing with things like Warzone and stuff like that. Now Call of Duty has taken its step into the big map world too. They kind of overshadowed that because that's what Battlefield had that stood apart, in my opinion. And like their campaigns weren't bad. And like another reason, like I feel like Battlefield is just kind of lackluster is just because like their most recent games have not really sat well with me because that's what that and that's a very opinionated statement. It's not fact, obviously. We don't ever speak in facts here unless we're like, yeah, the sky is blue sometimes. Then then we're speaking in facts. But I will always stress that when I'm saying something's just about my words, I want people to realize that if they ever tune back into these videos. But my thing about first-person shooters is I like to see something unique, and I always talk about this. I love to see something that sets it apart from others, because otherwise they all just kind of feel like a cheap reskin of the other first-person shooter. It almost just feels like they're trying to copy someone else's work, so they got to definitely stand out. Even like, I personally wasn't the biggest fan of the new Star Wars Battlefronts, and yeah, they were first-person, third-person, like you could play in either. I preferred to play third-person just because obviously big-ass map. It's easier to see everything around you. And I felt like the first person in it was not as good as I expected it to be. But I mean, it's still entertaining. I love Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. So, and overall, I feel like we kind of covered first person good enough because we have made an episode on it. What other ones were on our talking points?
Yeah. So one we could kind of briefly talk about. I don't expect us to talk more than a minute or two about it, but it's that one I'd mentioned. And before we started, you're like, "Oh yeah," was the rhythm genre with like Guitar Hero genre. And Rock Band, and that's one that I it's been at least a year since I played this bad boy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
It's even got dust on it, but yeah, no, it's one that I kind of grew up with a lot on like PlayStation 2, playing like Guitar Hero World Tour, Aerosmith. They even came out with a AC/DC only one. That one was a lot of fun just because my personal taste in music with like 70s, 80s classic rock and grunge and alternative, they kind of fall into that category. So that was a fun game along with Aerosmith. Yeah, it was just a fun game to play with friends more than anything. At a personal level, it was more getting to the expert level and trying to play a song either perfect or near to perfect, where you're either hitting all the notes or you get like 99%. And it's like that little that small victory of it's simple. It's literally just you strum and you push the buttons, and it's like you're in your own little world. And I remember as a kid playing, like in my head, it was just like you picture, like you're playing for thousands of people and you're in a rock band and stuff, and it's like that's kind of where I go back to with this genre. I don't know if you have any memories or anything you want to talk about with this one.
Oh, definitely. And I just wanted to bring up a few talking points about it too. I got to give respect to this because music has always been a big part of the world, and overall, music has been one of the first things that came along with humanity was music. And like even looking at like arcades, there's those dancing games. Like there's always been like a form of rhythm genre that has existed to some degree, and so I have nothing but respect for it. I think it's one of those things that kind of was a passing moment in a lot of ways. I feel like they still generate different kind of music games that still gain some kind of notoriety. I wouldn't say mainstream notoriety. I would definitely say that there is a what's the word I'm looking for here? Cult following for these kind of games. I wouldn't say that there's a majority, but I definitely have some memories of playing Guitar Hero. For whatever reason, I could not get past what was it, the third. I sucked at it. I'll be 100% honest. I could not figure out. Like, I couldn't even get up to the. I think it was the orange button was the next level off the basic one.
Yeah,
like,
so your easy and medium are green, blue, red, and the fuck are the colors? Green, red, yellow, blue is easy, medium, and then once you get hard and expert, that's where orange comes into play.
Yep. Yeah, I could not even get up to orange, man. I fucking struggled with that, and I still would just like love to hear the music, so I obviously would play as easy as I could, just to be like, yeah, I'm a rock star, but I didn't work for it. So,
you press the button every like 15 seconds, like, boom, and you sat there,
yeah,
sip some tea. Oh shit, boom.
Yeah, again, still max it out. Definitely a bass player. That was a mean dig at bass players. You guys do stuff for music, that's the thing. Like it was fun to play. It has its moments in that history of like kind of like in-house gaming with your friends. I don't think it holds up anymore as much now that we are so connected online. And I'm sure there's, like I said, there's still that cult following of it. There's still that history that it has. And like I said, I have nothing but respect for the genre. Is it my favorite? Hell no. But I still respect it. And I think that's a good enough talking point on that. Everyone who's played it, you already know. And if you haven't played it, well, I won't say you missed a lot, because in some ways you didn't, because you can always go out and pick up an instrument and become your own rock star. So, but it's funny. It's funny actually. Choosing your favorite idol.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, there's not a whole lot going on with it. And actually, not too long ago, I was on like Twitch, just kind of browsing around, and I had I don't know if it was in like my suggested or like a title I was following, but Rock Band popped up, and there was like 70 or 80 people viewing, and there was like 4 people actually streaming it. So I was like, huh, like I've never actually watched like how somebody would do this. And I clicked on it, and it's literally just like they had like a camera on their face, and then they had a second camera that was like on the instrument, and then obviously like the bridge of like the notes they're playing, and they're like. Basically, they're forced to interact with their chat, and chat would be like, "Oh, play this song, play that song." Be like, "Oh, hey, yeah, Jim, I'll play Eye of the Tiger for you, man." And it's like, so. I mean, it's like you said, it's that cult following. There's probably those people that still play it are probably the ones that got it from day one back in the early 2000s, and have just followed it all the way through the dozens of Rock Band, Guitar Hero, and then like the subcategories where they go into specific artists and stuff. So, but yeah, that was kind of the last point I want to bring in.